being the SmackDown Women's Champion for over 1 calendar year. And whether it has been a beautiful ride or whether it has been a reign of terror. So, Bayley won the SmackDown Women's Championship on October the 11th, 2019, when she defeated Charlotte. And so they have been using the combined number of over 500 days, but she's been officially the champion for over a year. Over this course of this year, she's done a lot. She's bloomed. Bayley has really blossomed, and that's why I'm more in the beautiful ride, because I really did not realize how long Bayley had been the champion until August. It wasn't until there started being some real cracks in the armor between Sasha Banks and Bayley that I realized how long Bayley had been the champion. Now, usually you grade a champion's run by match quality, whether they elevated opponents, that sort of thing. And to be quite honest, Bayley hasn't done much of that. And to be quite honest, in when it comes to actual storytelling, with the exception of the whole angle they've been doing with Sasha Banks, Bayley has buried more people than she's actually elevated. I mean, she absolutely humiliated Lacey Evans. Same thing with Naomi. There was the numerous matches with Nikki Cross. Didn't really. I mean, I guess she kind of elevated Nikki Cross a little bit. Maybe Nikki Cross got some really good steam out of this whole thing. But for the most part, the Bayley has been sort of an emperor or empress. She just kind of just been stomping on various opponents, and really, it wasn't until around SummerSlam that I actually noticed that Bayley had cleared out the division, that nobody was really a clear threat to her as the champion other than Sasha Banks. Now, that was by design, of course, because they were telling the story that of Sasha Banks basically being there to help Bayley, and that was the good stuff. That's what makes it a beautiful ride. When you look at Bayley, she was able to maintain her championship basically due to a lot of help from Sasha Banks on one hand, and a lot of dastardly heel stuff from on the other hand. So when Sasha wasn't always there to catch her, she always had a little cheat that that she could pull out. And then of course, since her and Sasha sort of separated, it's just been good old disqualification. Like she just hit you with a chair. And that's just classic heel stuff. Grabbing the title and walking out, getting disqualified or counted out, or hitting people with chairs and stuff like that. I mean, that's just good, solid heel work. Like, you can't really blame people for having solid heel work. But she has done some really interesting things with the title too. So she hasn't just been holding the title and just had it and been hiding in the closet. She's been defending it. She defended it. She was had the first women's championship match in Saudi Arabia, which was very, very important for the company and probably personally fulfilling, because she got to wrestle in Saudi Arabia and very few women actually got to do that. So that was great. And then she also got to be part of the 2-woman power trip when she was a tag team champion while she was the SmackDown Women's Champion. And for a long time, that was sort of the entire summer, was basically Bayley as a tag team champion. But the best thing about Bayley is that she has blossomed, that she's added so many different layers to the character since, the character's debut. And then the character, Bayley turned heel before, she cut off her ponytail and killed the inflatable tube men and all that type of stuff. She was actually a heel before that, because, she turned heel maybe a week or two before she changed her look and everything. But, when she first started, Bayley was sort of subdued, flat affect. She really hadn't found a voice. She hadn't really found a personality for the character yet. It was just not Bayley. It was just not Hugger Bayley. That was just kind of all it was. And over time, and I think the Sasha Banks thing really helped her, because, they work very well together. And I think she felt more comfortable with Sasha Banks and being herself, just a heel version of herself. And she got to still be goofy. And she got to be, really to play the role of the top champion. She really, like I said, I've said it numerous times. She was actually carrying Sasha Banks through a lot of this stuff. Sasha Banks looked like a sidekick. Because Bayley was dominating the promo time. Bayley was actually wrestling more matches than Sasha Banks, I believe, at this time. She was having some good matches too. And this storyline that they went on, it has being the champion for Bayley meant defending her title and defending the tag team title at the same time. So she really was doing a lot more than a normal champion would. And so she had all of these different branches in her story, where she had Naomi and she had the run with Lacey Evans, and then she had the run with the Kabuki Warriors on Raw, where they was wrestling for the women's tag team titles, and then it was Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for both the women's tag team titles and the SmackDown women's title, and then it was also wrestling on NXT. They were, she was trying. Then there was another layer to the story when she was trying to help Sasha Banks win a singles title because they wanted to have all the gold. So now she had another mission. She had another goal to not just be a champion herself, but to be a double champion, and then to spread the wealth to help her friend become the champion. So it was like they kept adding new goals, and they kept adding new things for her to have to do. So even though she was the champion for a long time, and normally when you're a champion for a long time and you've cleared out your division, to be quite honest, Bayley cleared out Raw and SmackDown for the most part. She pretty much beat all the top contenders on Raw, with the exception of maybe Bianca Belair, who was barely there. But she beat everybody on SmackDown, and she beat most of the people that was on Raw. And I'm not so sure if she didn't wrestle that many people from NXT. But, because I think only Sasha Banks really wrestled in NXT. And they wrestled for the tag team titles in NXT. But, Bayley was just on a tear, as far as actually getting over on people and helping to elevate those people, even if it was for a little bit of time. And like I said, she did kind of stomp out, some people here and there, like Naomi and like Lacey Evans. She did kind of like stomp them flat. Like they really had nothing going for them after they feuded with Bayley and lost. And really, that's kind of the sign of a reign of terror, is when people don't get over from wrestling you, and instead they become in some ways less over, and in some ways less important after wrestling you. But that's also the sign of you being a long running dominant champion, is that people have a tough time building opponents for you. But they were also doing this whole thing with building this Sasha Banks and Bayley thing. It was just supposed to be, everybody knew it was coming. We just didn't know when. They weren't trying to wait for crowds, and they were saying WrestleMania, and then it was going to be, oh well, there may be a crowd at SummerSlam. So people thought it was going to be at SummerSlam, and it didn't happen at SummerSlam. So there was a lot of twists and turns in this whole ordeal. There was even some talk that maybe she was supposed to lose the title to Nikki Cross, but Nikki Cross ended up getting in contact with the Rona, and that whole thing. But I think she would have won that match anyway. I think she probably just would have got disqualified, because I think that's the match when Asuka answered the call, and Bayley just got disqualified. She bailed and got disqualified. And that really was another thing with the character, because now the character is, like I said before, she's paranoid. Is that you have this, this creeping threat from Sasha Banks that was there from the beginning, because Sasha always wanted to be the champion, because you want to be the champion on the brand that you're on. Bayley smartly talked Sasha Banks into being her partner, winning the tag team titles, which gave Sasha Banks the ability to go to Raw and NXT and challenge for those titles. It was beautifully done. Like, people always dog on WWE for shit that, when they do stuff wrong and it doesn't make sense. They did this correct. They actually did it in a way where it explains why they're not fighting each other. How they can have, how they can share in each other's success. Not just because they're friends, but because they've schemed that, oh, you don't have to wrestle me. We can win these tag team titles, and then you can go and beat Asuka for her title, or you can go beat Io Shirai for her title, and then you could be the champion somewhere else, and I could be the champion here, and you can still be friends. But of course, like I said before, as they started taking those titles away, you started narrowing Sasha's ability to be the champion down to solely having to wrestle Bayley. And this was very, very well done. And they kind of slipped up here and there with the concept of them arguing about whether they was using each other or whether they, all that type of stuff. We all know that, that they were using each other. Bayley used Sasha Banks a lot to get disqualified, to cheat, to be underhanded. Sasha Banks used Bayley to get to other brands, to, also to help her win the title. Hell, Bayley actually won the Raw Women's title for Sasha Banks when she attacked Kairi Sane, right? So, which caused the count out. And a lot of people have been very upset, and that a lot of these matches have not ended clean. There's not a lot of clean. I mean, one such individual. I'm not going to say who it is, but he works for a particular YouTube channel that does wrestling, and he was very angry that there was no clean finish to the October draft episode of Smackdown, which featured the first match between Sasha Banks and Bayley. And he was like, could you just imagine that AEW's put all of this effort into Adam Page and Kenny Omega, and then they had the 5-minute match that ended in disqualification? I said to myself, like, this guy apparently has not been watching the show. Like, when you look at Bayley's character, Bayley looks to get out of these situations as fast as possible. She would utilize her champion's advantage almost immediately. Look, as the heel, Bayley is supposed to look inferior at all times. So during the babyface fire, when the babyface is kicking her ass, she bails. That's the first thing to do. When you're a heel and you're getting beat up, you bail. Now, when it's actually smarter to use the champion's advantage to get out of the match. Like, that's perfect storytelling. That's what you would do with a dastardly heel who is, trying to clutch, to their championship. They're clinging to their title. They're clinging to their top spot. They don't want to lose it. So they say, hey, I'm going to go get disqualified. This system where everybody thinks that you could just take pinfall losses, that shit work in Japan. That shit doesn't work in the United States. There's a reason why people are more interested in what Sasha Banks and Bayley are doing than what the fuck Adam Page and Kenny Omega. So, like, they weren't even really positioned as being friends. I don't want to make this about AEW. I just was thinking about that because when you think about how well the story has been put together, then you start comparing it to other things. It is not anywhere near like the Mega Powers exploding. Like, that was a longer form story. You didn't see Randy and Hogan every week, 2-3 times a week. You didn't get a chance to get sick of them. You did get a chance to get sick of Sasha Banks and Bayley. They were overexposed for a long time. But when you tell them a long form story, you're not going to give away a lot of clean finishes, because clean finishes are definitive. Once you have a definitive ending, you really have no reason to go back for it. The reason you get a rematch is because the bad guy cheated, or the good guy got screwed, or the bad guy got disqualified. That justifies the next match. When you have a clean finish, what is the reason for the next match? Other than I'm still mad, which is stupid. It just doesn't make sense. But Bayley has done a really good job. I really have to apologize to her as a performer, because I was very harsh on Bayley when I started my channel. She was one of the least interesting people on the show. I hated Bayley. But like I said, she has developed so much personality wise, as far as being funny. She's annoying. She's intense. She can be evil. It's just so many different layers to the character now that she was able to find through this storyline and through being the champion, that, it was so good. It was been very good. And Bayley is a better champion than Becky Lynch. When Becky Lynch was the champion for a year, it was terrible. It was awful when Becky Lynch was the champion all that time. From WrestleMania to WrestleMania, it was fucking awful. Bayley being champion for a year has been interesting. It has never really been boring. I never really thought to myself, Bayley needs to lose the title. I just kept saying, who is going to be the one to take her down? And we already knew it was going to be Sasha Banks, so it was just going to be when and where. You know, it's just going to be a issue of when and where. So that's the fun stuff. This has been a fun title run. It has not been a reign of terror as far as I'm concerned. But what do you guys think? Let me know in the comment section below. Like this video, share it, and subscribe. Hit the bell for notifications, and I'll talk to you guys later.